Hey everyone, this is Doug C. Brown with the CEO Sales Strategies Podcast, and I've got a nice, amazing, wonderful guest for you. His name is Mr. Joe Rare, Rare, R-A-R-E, right? So joerare.com. And Joe and I are going to have a profound conversation on around how do you make more sales? And so I'm going to ask you, get a pen, get a paper, because you're going to love this episode. There's a lot of practical nuggets in this particular episode. And we're going to talk about, laws of, averages, compounding, leverage, expansion, all kinds of different things. But it's a very step-by-step process on how, if you're selling, how you can grow your sales and do it, this year. So without further ado, we're going to go get Joe. If you're interested in growing your revenues, reach out to me directly at doug@ceosalesstrategies.com, and we'll go from there. Let's go talk to Joe right now. Hey, Joe, welcome to the CEO Sales Strategies Podcast. Thanks so much for being here today.
Awesome. Thanks for letting me come on. I appreciate it.
All right, everyone, I'm super excited to have Joe on this call because Joe and I are both sales guys at heart. And we're going to talk about how do you sell stuff? How do you increase your sales for business?
There you go. Love it.
Joe, you want to give a background? You've had multiple businesses, built them 7, 8 figures. So people know a little more about you.
Yeah. So, I think, I hate the word serial entrepreneur, but it's the reality of it. I like to build stuff from kind of 0 to 1. I like to get those, the excitement built up. I like to sell the service. I like to really get it going, but then I love to hand off operations to a team and let them do that. I love revenue generation. I love finding ways to elicit, new sales opportunities for businesses and look at ways that we can create new revenue streams or increase revenue streams or whatever that might be. So, I've just been a business builder my entire life. I started young, dropped out of college so that I could start building businesses. And I've been running that road ever since, and it's been great.
So the interesting thing I love about what you just said is increasing revenues for company, increasing sales for company. And what came to my mind was a formula, which is cash flow is the result of lead flow plus workflow.
Oh, interesting. What do you mean by workflow?
What we do, right? So cash flow, so we got leads coming through,
Yep.
workflow of the process of us having conversations. So opportunities plus
Okay.
conversations equal
Yep.
sales, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think the greatest distance that's ever known to people is what they know they should do and what they're actually doing.
100%. I agree with that. Absolutely.
So, I know some people's ears just perked up with that statement because they're going, "Oh no, that's me. I know he's talking about me," right?
Yeah.
So, Joe, what do you see as I would say other than, not only knowing your ideal right fit buyer, but let's say that they know their ideal right fit buyer, they can dial their messaging in, they can do that type of thing. What do you think is the number one reason that people aren't making more money or more sales in their company? Um, you know, after we know the lead will actually convert.
Um, I think it's actually pretty easy. It's they don't talk to enough people, right? And so you can use a direct correlation to the number of offers you make to the amount of money you earn. And if you are not asking enough people to buy, you're flat out not earning enough money. That's it. And so in your business, if you get decent at yourself being the salesperson asking people to buy stuff, you're going to get to a certain ceiling, and that's that. And then in order to grow that, you have to bring in more people to help you with sales. And so now you have 2 people and you get to another ceiling because the time capacity exists. But that's when you build sales teams. And so again, if your direct correlation is going to be the amount of offers I make to the marketplace is going to result in how much money I make, it would make more sense to have 10 salespeople than it would to have 2.
Yeah.
And so the bottom line is that The average business does not ask enough people for money, period.
Would you say that again, please? Because that was so profound.
The average business does not ask enough people for money, period.
Are we talking about you folks, you that are listening
Yeah.
right
We're
now,
talking
right?
about most people. And it's, look, I mean, we work so hard on all of the little things, getting the right message. What's our pitch going to be like? How are we going to overcome objections? And are we going to be able to deliver on the back end of what we say that we can do? And does it all align? And is our branding right? And our social media content and all of those things. But at the end of the day, you pick up the phone, you send a direct message, whatever it might be that's going to get you in front of that person, and you ask them for money. And you do it more times than you can ever count. And, Alex Hormozy has a great saying: you are going to start, when you start, you're going to suck. And over time, you will suck less to the point that you actually become good.
Yeah.
And that's it. That is the formula for making a boatload of money in sales. That's it.
So if that's the formula for making a boatload of money in sales, and I agree, then what's the stopping block for people not
Fear.
doing that? Fear.
Fear.
Yeah.
It's 100% fear. People are afraid. People are afraid of rejection. Um, I mean, it comes down to it. You could say, what's the number one fear? People used to always say, public speaking was the biggest fear somebody has, even more than death. Well, that fear is similar to what people have about selling. And it's some sort of thing around self-confidence. It's some sort of thing about knowing how to say the right thing. But also there's this weird little thing. I don't know what happened in our, DNA makeup or whatever, but there's this weird line where people have a tough time where they actually ask people to part with money,
Mm.
you know? And I don't know what it is. And it could be something internal just because they don't like people asking them to part with money. I don't know. But getting over that hump where you're okay asking somebody to give you their money, the moment you shift over the top of that, sales is easy. Sales is super easy.
I have a theory on that, which is that children are the best salespeople in the world.
Oh, no filter. My
No filter.
daughters,
Yeah.
my daughters sell people. So this is funny, and I never actually put it together, and I don't know why, but Gary Vaynerchuk tells a story. You know who Gary is, I'm
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
He tells a story about how he used to rip out somebody's flowers and then sell them back to him, right? I caught my daughters going around our neighborhood, and they would clip, and they did it, they didn't rip them out of the ground. They did the right thing, how their mom showed them, and they cut flowers from all of our neighbors and this and that. And then they set up a stand at the end of the road, and they sold lemonade and bouquets of flowers.
Yep.
And I
And
was like, you guys realize what your overhead is on that? Like that, yeah, you got a great margin. And they did really well. And my kids have no fear of asking people to give them money. They'll walk to their door. I have a glass of lemonade, and I'd like you to give me $2. Okay.
so I was driving with my wife the other day. And by the way, folks, we're not saying go cut your competition's flowers out of the
Maybe.
thing.
I don't know. Maybe.
Driving the other day, and I drive by these three cute little kids, and they're yelling, lemonade, fresh lemonade, da,
Yeah.
da, da. And I'm like, I gotta stop, right? And I know it's Crystal Light. I could see the color of it, right? It wasn't fresh
Yeah.
squeezed
Yeah.
lemonade, but they're like, oh, it's $1. It's $1 for a glass, or $2 for whatever they say, $2 for three or something like that. And I'm like, just give me two. And they said, sure. And they said, that'll be $2, sir. And I hand them a five. And they go, here's your change. I'd say, upsell me. It's
Yeah.
like,
Oh, cool.
right,
Yeah.
right. Like, sell me something else at this moment, right? Because I'm in my brain, I'm teaching them, like, hey, we have a cookie, we have a cross seller or something
Sure.
like that, right? And look, here's the thing: kids have no filter, guys and gals, on this whole thing about what they're, they ask all the time. If they hear no from dad, they go to mom.
Yep.
Right?
100%. It's
And
wonderful.
and they see something, they know they want it, they ask. So my theory is, that we're letting our childhood frames and rules and behaviors and all of that stuff color our ability to actually get what we want because we feel, you know, unlike when we were children, if somebody said no, we didn't fling ourselves down on the lawn and start throwing a fit, right? But I've seen
Yeah.
people, I just talked to a lady and she's like, well, I'm just been getting rejected. And I'm like, well, what are you doing? She's like, I'm doing nothing. I said, so you're self-rejecting yourself, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like, never thought of it that way. It's like, so get back out and get going into the thing because I don't know about you, Joe, but I've never heard a story about a buyer throwing anybody out a window for saying no to them,
Correct.
right? So
Yeah.
what's the worst thing that can happen?
Well, it's an ego thing, right? I
Yeah.
mean, they're just very attached to their ego, and it's tough. And when somebody doesn't, when you feel like you've put forth this effort and you get in front of somebody and they don't want the thing that you're offering, it's a stab at the ego. And the ego is very loud, it's very controlling, it's very, it can be painful to people. And I'm just, yeah, I think I've just over the years I've just learned to be bigger than my, not let my ego be big enough to control anything that I do.
But
And it's really hard though. It's something you're going to struggle with forever.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I mean, nobody likes to hear rejection after rejection after rejection, but the reality is that in everything we do,
Yeah.
we're rejected in some capacity, right? We go to the gym and we work out, let's say, and we're like, let's say we have a goal, I don't know, bench press a certain weight, and we can't bench press that weight right now. As we're going up, we're like, I want to get 5, 6, 7 reps in on this thing, but we
Yeah.
only get 4. And it's like, you don't put the bench, the thing on the end and your ego is just like, oh my gosh, I'm a loser. I mean, we're not feeling that. So
Ye-
it's the value we place upon this ego.
So think about it. So think about it this way. If your profession is a salesperson and somebody tells you no, you massively failed at your profession. That's the ego.
Yeah.
Now, if people could come to the terms that there are laws in this universe that were instilled by whatever creator you like to believe, that if you talk to enough people and make the offer enough times, somebody will say yes. And that is a truth. It's not, that is a law. That is a universal law of averages.
Yep.
It is indisputable. It doesn't matter what gender you are, or what race you are, what part of the world you live in. The reality is that if you talk to enough people, make your offer, somebody will say yes. And most likely multiple people will say yes. And that's why there's like these rules of 100 that so many salespeople talk about. You just do the same activity 100 times, you will close business. Like again, it's indisputable. If you, the reality is how many people who are saying, oh man, I'm really struggling with sales and I'm having a tough time. How many days in a row have you picked up the phone and made 100 phone calls or made 100 outreaches and done it 100 times, 100 days in a row? Anybody? The reality is no.
Yeah.
It's probably less than a percentage of people who can say, I've absolutely failed and I've done 100 outreaches for 100 days in a row.
Hmm.
Because at the end, the cool thing is at the end of 100 days, if you were to compare yourself to who you were at day 20, you are superior in your capabilities by day 100.
Yeah.
You are not even in the same league that you used to be in. And so objections and understanding what to say, when to say it, how to say it, emotional connection, little nuances, you're going to get so good at it that it is impossible for you not to succeed. And I think that is probably just, it's so mind blowing. But here's the benefit. If you're a salesperson out there and you start to understand these things, the great part is that somebody else is going to be too fearful to do it, which opens up the opportunity for you.
Yeah.
So you have more opportunity because so many other people are scared. Let them be scared and you go make all the money.
So, law of averages, 1 out of 100. There's also the law of compounding.
Sure,
So,
100%. Yeah.
right. So if we're doing this activity every day learning from this activity every day, like Alex was saying, you really suck and you suck less and continue to
Yeah.
get, if you run the numbers mathematically, 1% a day, 70 days, you're 2x. If you run it out, I haven't run it over just 100, but if you run it out over a year's period of time, you're 37x.
Yeah.
So,
This is it.
right.
And
So,
this isn't arguable. That's the thing
no,
that I
no.
love about it.
Yeah.
This is a universal law that you cannot fight. You can't pretend doesn't exist. You can't, like, it's just gonna happen no matter what you say. I love it.
The sun comes up, the moon comes up.
That's it. Yeah.
Dark, light, dark,
Yeah.
light. It's
Doesn't
going to
matter what your
happen
feelings
regardless.
are. Yeah. Yeah.
So then the question really comes down to, if I'm hearing you correctly, Joe, is what can we control for the activity that we do and focus on that activity and getting better at that to get the Laura compounding going over a specified period of time, then measure where we were, measure where we are, see the growth, celebrate it, and then do it again.
100%. And this is I feel like more and more people are talking about this, but I think this really rings true to the idea that the destination can't be the goal. If the destination is the goal, that when I do a certain amount of this activity, I get this carrot, whether it's the commission check, it's the amount of money your business is going to make and all those things. If that is going to be, if the destination is the goal, you're going to fail more than you're going to succeed.
Yeah.
If the action is the goal, the activity every day, if that is the goal and that is the success, by executing, you're going to find far more success through that. Because if you're only, if the activity is the goal, my only job, it's not to go build my business and get to $10 million. That's not the goal. The goal is that every single day I need to have conversations or make phone calls. I need to touch 100 people every single day, period, end of story. That's my job.
Yeah.
And in the end result, maybe at some point we have this path that we're reaching towards to hit $10 million. Awesome. So me and this entire team of all these salespeople and all this stuff, if our only goal and objective is just today, this one thing today, tomorrow, the goal is going to be the same. Do it again. The next day, do it again. And what's going to happen again? You have the law of averages plus the law of compounding. And then you end up getting to these amazing places down the road by focusing just simply on this one activity or this one set of activities.
I used to focus on 10% growth, Joe. If I made a certain amount this year, like if I made 200,000 as a salesperson this year, I was like, all right, next year I got to make 220, right? That was my goal.
Yeah.
And every year, 10%, 10%, but 10%. And folks, the reason I'm telling you this story is I went from that to $500,000 in like 2.5 years, just focusing on what Joe and I are talking about. What do I do on a daily activity? Where do I go? What do I continue to do? And how do I get a little better at that each and every single day? Because once you get to that 100-day goal that you're talking about, Joe, you reevaluate and you're already at a different level. So now it's like, how do I increase that by 10 or 20%?
Yeah.
So mine was an annual goal, but imagine if it was a 100-day goal that I'm going to increase by 10%. As human beings, we start thinking differently and we start asking different questions.
This is a good one. Yes.
And as we start asking different questions, we're no longer asking questions that held us stuck in the place that we were, because now we're already past that.
Yeah. You're a totally different person. You're not the same person.
That's right.
Like this is, and I love all of the, I love the world. Like Joe, I don't know if you know who Dr. Joe Dispenza is, right?
Yeah, I know Joe. Yeah.
Really understanding how your personality create, how your identity and your personality play with one another. And if you change what you do on a daily basis, at the end of a period of time, you will not be the same person you were previously. So if today I've never made 100 calls or I've never made 100 outbound or whatever that might be, I've never done it. But I'm making a commitment and I'm going to do 100 days of 100 touches and I'm just going to go. At the end of the 100 days, Joe is not the same human being that I was when I started. 100 day from now, Joe is a totally different person. My brain is wired different. I think different. I have new habits. I have a new perception of reality, of what I can do as a human, what I can expect as results from the outer world, all of those things. Everything about me is going to be different in 100 days by simply just doing the activity. To your point, when I think of something, my problems change. The thought that I have as a solution is vastly different
Yes.
because in those 100 days, I've been exposed to so many different scenarios and some really amazing different conversations. I've talked to hundreds and hundreds of people. And so it is impossible for me to be the same person. And so, like you said, you go this little 10% increment. The way you leapfrog by 200% is by changing who you are. Because the person who makes a decision at day 100, they can make that leapfrog decision. And they realize, okay, well, I'm making all of these calls and I'm selling this thing. Well, what if instead of selling that thing to one of those people, I sold 80 of those things to one
One
person?
person.
And now all of a sudden you have different income. Your business model's different. Your conversations are different. You're pitching people to buy things totally different. Everything changes. And so whenever we get a new salesperson who's working in our company, the first thing I say is just start doing the work. Sit
Yep.
down and do the work. That's it. If you start doing the work, your mind will expand, your experiences will grow, you'll learn things that you didn't even know were possible, and you will not be the same person in 100 days. And 100 days is no time at all. It's barely over 3 months. That's
See,
no time.
here's the thing that happens, folks. When you become that different person, as you're becoming that, your confidence level goes up. And confidence is sexy. And people will recognize that you are a much more confident person, but we got to be able to start somewhere and take it from one point to the next point. I knew a CEO lost 60 pounds, Joe, and in a year he was running a marathon. Now he was 60 pounds overweight. He could barely walk to the corner. So what he decided was, I'm going to go and run from one telephone pole to the next telephone pole. And then tomorrow I'm going to run from the first to the second, then the second to the third. And every
Yeah.
day I'm just going to add one telephone pole. And then a year later, he was running a 10K marathon, right? That type of thing. And he had lost 60 pounds. And people were like, wow, what happened to you? Right. And
Yeah.
it's just that simple plan of, like you're talking about, 100-day plan of just doing the activity that will get that compounding growth of the law of averages that gets us thinking and acting different.
Yeah.
Um, Now, I want to ask this question because, here's the thing. I know what happens usually when people really start growing like this is they start going, okay, I'm not the same person I was 100, 200, maybe 300 days ago, but I'm not relating to the people that I used to relate to either. I'm changing. Like, I can't relate to some of my friends that were in my sphere before. And that starts
Yeah.
messing with them. And it's sort of like some people kind of retreat back from that and go, and say, well, I'll tamper the thing down.
Yeah.
Uh, what would you say? What is a way of mitigating that, or is there no way of mitigating that? Is
Well,
it
of course
just
there
a
is. You divorce your
so?
friends. Like it's a sad reality. But the truth is I say that kind of flip it, but um the truth is you're the average of the five people you spend the most time with. So, and you can little bit you can exclude your family, but your wife or partner or whatever needs to be they need to be in the growth phase with you. And but who you spend your time with absolutely 100% matters. You cannot have $1 million conversations with people making 60,000 a year.
Yep.
That you can't. So I couldn't grow my businesses to the degree that we did without having conversations with people who are far superior, way outside my league. If you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. If you're the highest earner in the room, you are definitely in the wrong room.
Mhm.
And that, I mean, that just rings true. And so unfortunately, as you change, as you grow, relationships will dissolve. They'll start to erode. When most people fall back into and they kind of go, okay, this is getting uncomfortable. I'm not really seeing my friends anymore, or they don't really understand me and I don't understand them and all those things. I mean, that's an indication that you're really moving in the right direction. That's a huge, good, positive thing. But what most people do is they've got their set thermostat and they kind of fall back into that. Well, this is the comfortable temperature for me. I've got my social life, I've got my income, and this is pretty comfortable. I have these aspirations to make more money, to have a lot more money, to do bigger things. However, the moment I get up there, it's just really uncomfortable. And they don't stay in that uncomfort, that discomfort. They don't stay there. And I guess my advice would be is to start loving discomfort, because most of the time when you're in a circumstance that's uncomfortable, a couple things are happening. Number one, you're growing, you're overcoming challenges that you've never dealt with before, and there's success at the end of the tunnel. There's something at the end of the tunnel. So don't be so fearful and don't be afraid to be uncomfortable. Like nothing good comes from sitting in comfort. Nothing.
I heard Sylvester Stallone ask this question, and I think it's apropos for where we are in this conversation. When Stallone was trying to make it, now we all know him as Sylvester Stallone today,
Yeah,
but
sure.
that man had a lot of setbacks.
Sure.
And he slept in alleyways, he slept on public benches in the wintertime, he froze. And the person asked him, what kept you going? And he said, well, I wanted to answer this question. And he said, I really didn't have the answer then, but I have it now. He said, are we actually better staying in a space that we know we can't fail, but we're constantly talking about we wanted to be there? Or is it better to actually go and actually fail and feel the feeling of failure, but know you actually tried to do it?
Yeah.
And he said, that one you have to answer yourself.
Yeah, you do. And look, there is a lot of people, most people actually, who need to stay right there. They need to stay in the comfort zone. They need to have a job where payroll hits every 2 weeks and there's no fluctuation. They know exactly what their income is going to come in at, and they don't have any opportunity for a bump in income. They can't do anything and earn extra commissions or something like that. There's many people that is right. That is the perfect place that they need to be. So I never want to discount and say like, what I think is best, because that's not it. What I think is what works for me. And what I know is that I'm an ambitious human being. I want to experience life at my full potential. And my full potential hasn't been tapped yet. There's a lot more to go. I'm in my early 40s. I've got a long way to go where I can do some really cool stuff. Um, doesn't have to be income related, but it's got to, like, I have to live up to my full potential. And on the income side of it, haven't touched it yet. I'm way far away. I've got tons of opportunity. However, some people don't feel that. Some people don't have that ambition. And you know what? They're going to be just fine where they are. Now, whether they lay on their deathbed and they regret, I don't know. Everybody's going to have that day come, but I can tell you that I want to know that, as a sports analogy, I left everything on the field as many days of my life as I could. And that's it. And if I do that and I'm consistently growing and I'm consistently getting better and doing more and, serving the world better, then I'll be all right.
So, folks, here's the message. You're not wrong for where you feel you want to be in your life, as long as it's truthfully where you want to be. And if it's not where you truthfully want to be, and you're saying, I want more sales, I want to grow my revenue, I want to be and have more than I have. If that's what you're truly wanting to do, then you got to go back to our conversation about the law of averages and the law of compounding, because that's the way you're going to get there.
Yep.
Right. And then as you start to grow and you get more confidence around there and you start to grow to a point where, you know, the law of time, you can't leverage that any more on your own, then you're going to bring other people in and other resources and systems in to help you leverage that capacity to actually get more within that same 45, 50 hours you're working a week, or whatever the time frame is for you. So, Joe, knowing this whole conversation around this process, is there any one last piece of advice that you would leave people that we could, say, let's go out on a high note?
Well, it's not going to sound like a high note, but it is. Go fail. Like when you're in this process and you're starting to do something different, you're changing your habits, you're changing your activities, you're changing your income, and you're trying to do all of these, exciting things in your life. Go make mistakes, go fail. If somebody were to ask me what's probably the one thing that's made us more successful than maybe competitors, or what's been something that I've always drawn to that I could say is a key to success. I'm willing to fail 10 times, but I'll do that and find the solution before anybody takes their first step,
Mm.
before they try once. Because I'll go fail fast. I'll go test. I'll go try. I'll go make that call and totally screw it up. Say the wrong thing and realize, like, oh my God, I left all this money on the table because I made this mistake. But guess what? That next phone call, I'm not doing that. That next outbound, the next conversation I'm going to have in whatever, the next way we're going to provide services to somebody, I'm going to figure it out. But we're going to go. And then when you build a business and you build a team and you give your team the latitude to go fail too, can you imagine the difference between somebody who's like, I'm going to go start a business and I'm going to go do this, and they start getting all their stuff together, and I've got my logo and I've got my, my website and I've got all these things. And we're like, logo and website? No, we just went out and we talked to 100 people today. We collected money from people. We don't even have a logo. We don't have a business name, but we're going to go provide this service. I'll go ask and fail and do all those things before anybody takes their first step. That's probably been my biggest key to success, is I'm willing to go put in the 100 reps while everybody else is still lying in bed.
Thinking about the logo.
Yeah. They're still thinking about, like, well, what am I going to call myself? I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm Joe. Guess what? I got some stuff to sell you. Let's do this.
And folks, I would listen to this episode over and over and over and over, because I think it will get a level of deep understanding each and every time. You'll get a little deeper understanding on that process. Joe, if people want to know more about Joe Rare, where do they find you? Where do they go?
Joe Rare at all the social media places. I'm kind of there. I don't post much. My team does, but if anybody has they want to know anything about me, they can reach me at joe@joerare.com. So joe@joerare.com, super easy to get me if you reach out. I do have an assistant who will probably respond for me. And, but yeah, if you guys have any questions, we can definitely support you. I want to be there for everybody I can.
And everybody, that'll be in the show notes. But those of you who are like driving, like, Joe Rare,
Yep.
JoeRare.com. That is
You got
the
it.
URL. Joe, thanks so much for being here on the CEO Sales Strategies podcast. Thanks for bringing I would say, the A+++ game on this one. I really very
Right on.
grateful, and I know others are too.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
All right, you've learned some stuff on how to sell more. Did you learn how to increase your sales in your business? Right? It really comes down to the formula of doing something within a defined period of time. So lead flow plus workflow equals cash flow, right? Opportunities plus conversations equals sales. Knowing what to do and doing what you do, if you make those synonymous, use that 100-day formula. Get out there and get going. Continue to keep going. Don't worry about what happens if, and learn from each experience and continue to keep growing from that experience. And you will be at a different place than you are. Look, here's the thing. It doesn't take a long time to turn it around, but it will take longer than you figure. So give yourself a year to go from where you are to where you want to go, but understand you can do it in 100 days, 200 days. If you're doing the activity that's required of you and what you want as a goal, if you do that activity and you get just a little better every single day at doing that, you'll be shocked, surprised, happily where you will be in a period of time. All right. So until next time, this is Doug C. Brown with the CEO Sales Strategies Podcast saying, if you want to grow your revenue, reach out to me, Doug at ceosalesstrategies.com. In the process of reaching out to me, please, 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 please go out and run your 100-day plan. Do the activity, hold yourself accountable. If you can't, get somebody who will hold you accountable. Get a partner, accountability buddy, buddy up, and just hold each other to the numbers every single day. If you do this, your sales will grow. Till next time, go out and sell something, sell a lot of it. Play win, win, win. You win, they win, someone else wins. You do not have to discount, provide value of their perception. They will buy more and they will pay more for it. Until next time, this is Doug C. Brown with the CEO Sales Strategies Podcast saying, to your success.